Hello lovely people, my name is Emma and today I'm talking about a series that I would like to start in 2021. So recently I put out a video that was a series that I'd like to either continue or finish, because I'm notorious for reading the first book of a series and never actually finishing it, so I put that out into the universe. But I do have a fair number of first books, and in some cases embarrassingly first and second books of either series or trilogies that have been sat on my shelf for a little while that I have not got to yet, because there is just some really cool sci-fi fantasy stuff going on at the moment that I definitely want to get my hands on. So this is another TBR of sorts, even more loosely, hopefully by the end of 2021, maybe by the end of next year, who knows when. But these are the ones that I have for the most part a physical copy of in some way that I would like to try and get to fairly soon, because they have been languishing for a bit. The first one of those is The Unspoken Name by A.K. Larkwood. This has been described to me as lesbian orcs, and I know nothing else apart from that. I think it was first mentioned to me anyway on Jean Bookish Thoughts channel, and she has raved about it a little bit, so I put the paperback on pre-order, then promptly forgot about it, and it turned up at the post in January, and I was like, oh cool, oh bugger, now I have a whole other series that I need to read. Something about a death cult, sorcerers, the old gods. I'm not really too sure, I just know lesbian orcs, so I'm here for this. One that I bought super recently that was a very much a spur of the moment buy one get one half price that still has the sticker on that I should really take off is Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. Rebecca Roanhorse wrote, I think it's called The Trail of Lightning or something, which was incredibly popular on BookTube maybe like 18 months to 2 years ago now, and I've been very much intrigued by her writing. I believe she is Native American or Indigenous, and it's that she pulls all of that folklore into her sci-fi and fantasy. So this is something which I'm quite intrigued by and would like to read more of on my shelf. I don't actually know much about Black Sun in particular, but this was the one that was on the buy one get one half price. Hopefully I will jump in soon and I'll actually learn. This is definitely a duology. It might be a trilogy, not too sure yet. Don't know how much of it has actually been published. So last year I read the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin and absolutely adored it. Picked up book one and then devoured all three of them in a very short space of time because I just could not get enough. And N.K. Jemisin has a huge back catalogue of books with quite a few different like funky twists on fantasy, so I definitely want to read another one from her. And the one that I happen to actually have a copy of is The 100,000 Kingdoms, which is book one of the Inheritance trilogy. I know she wrote this before The Broken Earth, so I'm really curious because The Broken Earth has got some of the best world building I've ever read, and I'm really interested to see if she can kind of pull it off again in this one, or if this like honed her craft to be able to mean that she could write something like The Broken Earth. And this one I believe is about a power struggle for a throne, and it's about a woman who did not know that she was potentially in line for the throne. She kind of gets thrust into this epic world of kind of political intrigue, and so this I think is going to be really interesting. You've got kind of a lot of family plot going on there, and like I said, I'm really interested to see what else N.K. Jemisin can do, just because of how much I enjoyed the Broken Earth trilogy. It was a firm favourite from last year, one of my favourite fantasy series I think ever. Then we come on to my slight like books of shame, shall we say. So I have book 1 and 2 of The Poppy War by F Kuang. This is a trilogy, very recently got finished. The last one is called The Burning God, and this is a fantasy world that I believe parallels the invasion of China by the Japanese, and I might be getting some of my like details slightly wrong there, but I know it is heavily East Asian inspired, incredibly popular on BookTube. So many people have talked about this book, so many people have raved about it. My mate Catherine's read it and really enjoyed it. It is like one of these big name trilogies that you have to read kind of thing, and honestly I really want to. It sounds really fascinating. I've heard basically only good things about it, and I own not only book 1 but also book 2 because I picked both of them up on Kindle quite cheap, and I bought book 2 before I even remembered that I hadn't read book 1. So given I have both of them, and that's I think honestly like nearly 1,000 pages worth of content on my Kindle now, I need to sit down and actually read these. So that has to be a really high priority, at least book 1 by the end of the year, and if not, somebody has permission to just slap me with my Kindle. And then another one where again I have book 1 and book 2 and haven't actually read book 1 yet, and again it was Kindle sale and they always get me because I forget what I have and haven't read, is the Consortium Rebellion trilogy, of which the first one is called Polaris Rising and it's by Jessie, Mihalik. and this one is apparently a space princess on the run and a notorious outlaw soldier in some kind of epic space opera romance. Now, I was a little bit like, oh, maybe this isn't actually my jam, but given how much I'm enjoying the Constellation trilogy, which is a space opera romance, which is not normally my cup of tea, I'm actually really excited about this one, and I think I need to prioritize it because I bought the first book of that Constellation one that was mentioned in my other video that I've only got book 3 left of now, by Claudia Gray. I bought it years ago, super cheap on Kindle. It sat on my Kindle for hours the ages, and then I did that thing where I went back and tried to read like a bunch of books that I bought, even like from my first book haul basically, and absolutely adored it and was like, I can't believe this has been sat on my Kindle for so long. So I'm kind of hoping Polaris Rising is going to be like that situation again, and I just need to actually commit to sitting down and reading it. So that one needs to be super high priority because it is absurd that I haven't got to that yet. It's been on my Kindle for so long. I, in theory, am doing the slow read along for Octavia E Butler's entire back catalogue. I haven't actually picked up a book by her in a little while, and she has multiple series, of which I will finish another one of them by the end of the year. I did her Exogenesis series at like the very tail end of last year, very beginning of this year, kind of December through to February, and I now just I need to pick another one. So I think there's another trilogy and there's a duology. She's like a really fantastic classic sci-fi writer who does some really cool alien stuff, and often plays around with race in her writing, and she kind of wrote from sort of, I think, the 60s onwards, but I might be slightly wrong there with my timings. So I really need to get to another one of hers because I've enjoyed nearly everything of hers that I've read. A duology of which I have book 1 on my Kindle is Semiosis by Burke, and this is something, it's a freaky sci-fi about plants in particular, and I really enjoy it when sci-fi and plants kind of end up combining, because I do think that the plant world is incredibly terrifying. I read a book about mushrooms a week back, and they're terrifying too, and I really enjoy them as like a recurring feature of sci-fi. I think it's freaky and amazing. So this one is about some kind of weird plant world where they're sentient and like humans have landed and trying to survive and kind of colonize this planet, but it's actually got freaky plants who can do weird stuff and like try and get us. So I think it's going to be super fun, and because it's a duology, I think I should try and get to it soon, because if you read duology, there's only 2, whereas trilogies are 3 and series are lots, and that's a huge commitment from me. Do we enjoy the fact that I'm explaining to you, lovely viewer, that trilogies are 3, by the way? Very helpful that I am. And so yeah, but a duology is like less of a time commitment, and if I read it and enjoy it, then I can just read book 2 and then it's done. So I am better at reading duologies. So this could be one that I could do the entire thing maybe by the end of the year. But that might be really ambitious and stupid and setting myself up for fail. And then the final one, which I don't actually own a copy of yet, but I will probably pick up on Kindle for quite cheap, is the complete trilogy of Binti by Nnedi Okorafor. But this one, they're actually novellas. So whilst I say the complete trilogy, that's only actually like 360 pages worth of fiction anyway, in total. And this one is about a young girl, or sorry, a teenager, I think, who like finally gets accepted into this prestigious intergalactic school of some sort, and she might be the first of her race or her species. I can't quite remember. And then something bad happens along the way, her ship gets attacked and she has to kind of try and survive, I think. So I've heard really good things about it. It was very popular when the trilogy was first coming out. Again, I think like 18 months to 2 years ago on BookTube, and lots of people have read it and really enjoyed it. So I want to buy the whole bind up and then basically blitz it in one go, because I find novellas can be a little frustrating. So I do quite like kind of back-to-backing them. I don't own that one yet. Everything else apart from the Octavia E Butlers as well I actually own, so I should prioritize what I own, because that TBR will not go down by itself. So yeah, that's it. Have you read any of these? Where do you think I should start? Are there any that you think aren't worth my time? The Poppy War in particular is probably the most hyped of everything on this list, and again, I've heard good things. I'm probably going to do it, but if you want to try and change my mind about that, please do let me know in the comments down below. We love a controversial view. So have a wonderful reading week, and I will chat to you soon. Bye.